Hey guys, welcome back, and today we're doing the next part of What If Tarble Went to Earth with Goku. Now, last time we left off with the tournament getting pretty much ready, and I'm going to jump straight into it and explain the matchups real quick, and then we'll get into the battles. Now, pretty much all of the main cast makes it through, and the tournament matchups are pretty much however I want to set them up, as in canon Chaozu messed with them, so I can sort of just pick and mix which matches I believe would happen. Now, like normal, the first match being Yamcha versus Tien, as Tien talked some crap earlier and Yamcha put something back out there, being as though Yamcha's a lot more confident here. So the first match, like normal, is Yamcha versus Tien. Next up is Chaozu versus Krillin. Chaozu just wants to put Krillin back in his place. After all, Krillin is a semi-finalist, and Chaozu just wants to prove the Crane School's better. Next up is Goku versus the Wolfman, and the Wolfman is still here in this timeline, and I'm going to explain it in a bit. And last up is Enma versus Panput. Sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. Now, let's not waste too much time and let's get into the action. Now, Yamcha vs Tien is much closer match than it was ever in canon, as Yamcha is much closer to Tien's power level and is putting up a lot more of a fight, thanks to him being much stronger and also being able to follow Tien's hits a bit better. After all, Tien is weaker than the Enma he trained with at the very start of his training, so he's following Tien's movements and able to block some of the major hits a lot easier. And for a while, it seems like the match might drag out for a long time, until Tien manages to grab hold of both of Yamcha's hands, holding the Desert Bandit back, and he begins to wail into Yamcha's chest using the Four Witches technique. And during this time, Yamcha's desperately trying to come up with a plan, and the moment Tien gives him a small break, Yamcha takes the opportunity and leaps on it. He starts barraging Tien in the chest using a wolf fang feet instead of a wolf fang fist. That's really weird to say if you're not used to it. And he begins barraging the crane student in the chest until the crane student has to release Yamcha. And the moment Yamcha is released, he starts charging up a Kamehameha, midway falling to the floor, just before he's about to release the Kamehameha, which he can shoot much easier as he learned it much earlier on and is probably quite confident in using it. Chaozu freezes him up, much like he did to Goku in canon. Now, the reason that Chaozu still does this is Master Shen tells Chaozu to do it. And the reason Master Shen is still going through with this is Master Shen knows that two turtle students put his brother in hospital. He doesn't know the exact details, but he knows enough that he should, make sure that Tien wipes the floor with all of these Turtle School members. So, much like in normal, they do cheat. And unfortunately, the cheating does go unnoticed. So, Tien proceeds to the next round, with Yamcha being quickly thrown out of the match after Tien got his bearings. Now, next up is Krillin vs Chaozu, and this is so much easier than it was in canon for Krillin, as Krillin is about the same strength as Tien, meaning Chaozu can't really do anything to counter him except being able to fly. However, Krillin can shoot Kamehamehas hundreds of times easier. After all, he's learnt them 3-4 years ago, so he's very confident with them. And also, his jumping capabilities makes it so he can cover the gap between himself and Chaozu with a lot of ease. So Krillin, unlike normal, doesn't have to resort to math and just knocks Chaozu out very fast. This makes Master Shen believe Krillin is the one who took care of his brother. So next round would be Goku versus Wolfman. And this goes very easy. And the reason the Wolfman here is he's trying to get the money to have surgery to fix whatever is wrong with him. After all, the moon is still missing, meaning he's still a wolf. So he's hoping that the prize money would pay for enough, surgery to be done to make him fully human again. After all, he doesn't want to stay a furry forever. However, Goku unfortunately does beat the man, and this makes him have to stay a furry forever. Next up is Enma versus Panput, but this goes very easy. Enma manages to land one punch on the boxer, and this takes him out pretty easily. Now, the group have a small break, and they go over to see their friends and catch up with Yamcha, who's just gaining some rest around Bulma, and is starting to already feel a lot better. And he starts warning Krillin of the techniques Tien showed off, just so he has some sort of an advantage. But while the group is all talking, Goku notices a giant robotic guy, and he soon puts together that it's Aita, pointing out him to Enma, and the two run over there, and the moment they arrive, they actually also notice that Suno is with them. And once the four begin to chat and catch up, Krillin soon comes over to join, and upon Krillin's arrival, he notices that Suno's actually blushing while looking at Enma, and he sort of puts two and two together. The group share a nice little small interaction, with Enma expressing how happy he is to see Suno, and he's thankful that she came to watch him at the tournament, and hopefully after this is all done, when he's won the tournament, they can all sit down and have a meal with one another, and maybe him and Suno can hang out a little bit more, with Eita also wanting to be involved, asks if he can come along too. With no one objecting to this, the group introduced the two friends that they met in Jingle Village to the rest of their friends, and they then decide that they'll all be sticking together to watch the rest of the tournament, with Bulma also noting that Suno obviously has a crush on Enma, much like how that Chi-Chi girl had a thing for Goku. She's a bit confused at how these oblivious boys don't notice it, but she sort of shrugs it off and says that she'll let them figure it out for themselves. It isn't long before the group is called back into the arena, with the three saying goodbye to their friends, and Yamcha cheering them on from the sides. So, the next match going in would be Tien versus Krillin, and this is probably going to be the most intense match of this entire tournament, so let's get straight into it. Straight off the bat, both clash into each other, holding back just to see if they can figure out how strong they are, but they feel around the same strength while holding back. So they decide that they will go all out first, and Krillin's the one to take the initiative to land the first major blow, and he explains how he wants to win after losing to Enma last time, so he's making it to the semi-finals. The young fighter then drops down to the floor and jumps straight towards Tien, staying low enough to the floor that is really hard to keep up with, and the place he jumped off leaves a massive crack, and just as he gets close to Tien, he drops underneath the martial artist's legs and jumps up, grabbing hold of the Triceratops' head. Using his whole body to build momentum, he spins forward, doing a front flip motion, throwing Tien straight into the ground. The crane student is in a lot of pain after this one short attack, and begins to pull himself up. However, he hasn't got a lot of time to think, as Krillin, who is starting to charge up a Kamehameha to blast Tien and hopefully end this round as fast as he possibly can. But much like what happened to Yamcha, Krillin freezes up all of a sudden, and this gives Tien enough chance to jump up, kicking Krillin straight in the gut, and while he's trying to catch his breath, he elbows him straight down towards the ground. Tien then tries to put enough force into a dropping kick to crush the turtle student's legs, but Krillin manages to pull himself up, explaining how his friends over there hit much harder than he does, so he's going to have to try much harder than that to keep him down. And before the two bold martial artists clash with one another, and for the most part, the audience can't really keep up with what's going. The likes of Goku, Enma, and even Yamcha are keeping up with the fight well enough, and Roshi is doing it himself, but he's having a little bit of an issue. However, for the likes of Goku and Enma, this is quite slow, and they can see that after every time they clash, it seems like Krillin's frozen up a little bit. Maybe he took more damage from the last attack than he thought. However, Goku soon notices that Chaozu is doing something very dodgy every time they go to clash. Chaozu is paralysing Krillin every once in a while to give Tien the upper hand, and once Goku figures this out, he tells Enma, and the pair shout out explaining that they need to stop what they're doing, they're cheating, with this catching the attention of Tien and Master Roshi. And once the boys explain what they saw, Master Roshi soon figures out the rest of it for himself, seeing that Chaozu every time they go to clash is doing weird hand motions, and Master Shen also seems to be telling him when and weird stuff. Master Roshi then demands some answers, with Tien also shouting out towards his master and his friend to stop helping him. He can beat this brat by himself. However, this angers Master Shen, and he shouts out saying that 2 turtle brats are the reason his brother is in hospital, and he will not let any of the brats get away unharmed. The Yamcha one got off easy. Take care of this one in a more serious way. Hearing this, Tien is actually kind of annoyed. He doesn't want to fight and be helped like this. He wants to win using his own strength. He then tells Chaozu to stop what he's doing, and this just pisses off Shen even more, and he begins to get a bit more violent and a bit more rowdy. However, it isn't long before the likes of Master Roshi step in, grabbing Shen by the arm and throwing him straight out of the arena, explaining that he won't sit by while Shen disrespects this precious tournament alongside his students. Master Roshi then shouts out saying, fight the rest of this match, and then we'll talk about what your master did. But before even Master Roshi can do anything, Tien puts his arms out, explaining that Tien is going to take a few hits to make the fight even fairer. And much like what Goku did, Krillin does get a good few hits in. And for a while the fight seems to continue, with it being really close. However, it's not going to end well for Krillin, as he doesn't really have the energy to continue. After all, he was using a lot of Kamehamehas earlier, so he's sort of out of energy anyway. And soon enough, he lets something slip, and Tien manages to knock him out of the ring. However, Tien himself can hardly stand. After all, both these students pushed themselves to the limit, both wanting to prove that they don't need help to win on Tien's side, and that Krillin wanted to prove the fact that he's strong enough to fight even Enma now. However, he is now out, but both students share a moment of appreciation and respect, shaking hands and bowing towards one another, explaining how this is a great match, and they hope that one day they can have a match just as great as this, with Krillin then saying how he should join the Turtle School to do some training at some point. It would be great training for him, and plus it would help Krillin grow as well. Now, once this happens, Krillin and Tien get carried out of the ring. Tien gets carried by the likes of Master Roshi, who has a lot of respect for the young martial artist who took some hits very well, and Krillin's taken out by Goku and Enma, who both praised their friend. Now, after this match, the audience get a little bit of a break to try and digest what they just saw, but it isn't long before Goku and Enma get too rowdy and go into the ring. Now, this fight isn't going to top the last one, however, because the gap between the two brothers is still very present. However, Goku is going to try his hardest to make sure that he wins. And he doesn't really want to, but he does have one final idea he hopes will work. And he has trained for it these last few years. Now, the boys clash for a while, Enma clearly holding back from Goku. It's apparent to Goku that Enma had been slacking off on his training, but it's not enough that Goku can try and pull any advantages out. And it's not long before Goku's on the floor, almost unable to stand. But he does have one last-ditch effort. Goku, letting out as much energy as he possibly can, jumps straight towards his brother, making sure that he's fast enough that he's really hard to keep up with the eyes. And just in time, Enma notices Goku appear behind him. However, it's too late for the younger Saiyan, as he begins to feel really weak. Goku has grabbed his tail, and even though Enma has some resistance to the idea of, his tail being grabbed, he had trained a little bit for this. He's not trained well enough that he can hold like this forever. And for the quickest second, he goes to grab his brother's tail, and he manages to. But Goku isn't seeming to lose any of his strength. In fact, he doesn't even really seem bothered. Goku then goes on to explain that while you weren't training, I came up with a way to beat you. Grandpa Gohan gave this to me, but I didn't really want to use it unless, of course, it was the only way for me to beat you. I spent the last 3 years training my tail to take a lot of damage. Things like dropping boulders, trees, letting crocodiles or fish bite them. Anything to build some sort of resistance. And it seems like it worked. He then lets out a bit of a chuckle before throwing his brother straight out of the ring, explaining how he didn't want to win like this. However, he hopes that next time they fight, he can pull through on his own strength. This sort of puts a fire under Enma's stomach. For the first time in years, he feels really inspired to train. And he knows that the moment they get home from this tournament, he's going to really push himself to be able to not get affected from someone grabbing his tail like his brother just showed off, and also to grow much stronger. Now, the final match is here, and the final round isn't too interesting. The young Saiyan boy wins, obviously. It's a lot easier for him than in canon, for a few reasons, such as Tien being very beat up from his fight with Krillin, and also because Goku is nearly double Tien's strength. There's not a lot of factors going in Tien's favour. The only thing that really is going in Tien's favour is the fact that Goku is sort of fatigued himself. However, thanks to him just being a lot stronger than Tien anyway, it doesn't mean too much. Meaning the winner of this year's tournament is Goku, who has never been so happy. He jumps up and down and he's just celebrating in all sorts of ways. But he is also annoyed that he couldn't beat his brother without having to cheat, which Goku thinks in his eyes is anyway. And he doesn't really care that he got prize money, but he will take it. The group then head out for dinner, but this time Goku doesn't actually forget his Dragon Ball. This is mostly for a few reasons. One, it's because the Dragon Ball sort of symbolise his friendship with everyone. After all, every member of the Dragon Team currently has a Dragon Ball. So it's sort of there, and also, if he was to forget it, Enma would remind him or pick it up himself, explaining to his brother that he's an idiot. The group then go out to eat, and Enma invites Suno and Ata to come eat with them, which the young girl happily does, and Ata just being excited to spend more time with his friends. So, like I said, the group head out and celebrate Goku's victory, with the beginning of the Demon King Piccolo saga still happening, much like normal. And the only difference is here, Krillin isn't killed. Krillin never went back, so the only real murders here are anyone who stuck around at the tournament. And also, he doesn't manage to get a Dragon Ball, so the Peel-Off gang have to give the Demon King a very rough idea of what the Dragon Balls look like, drawing him a picture actually. And much like normal, Drum is sent off to look for Dragon Balls, and then Tambourine is sent out to kill any competitors who could possibly know the Mafaba, which could, really scare King Piccolo. But for now, the group don't really know of his existence. So the group just sort of celebrate for the rest of the night, and at some point the next day they head back to Kame House, with Goku and Enma going just to say goodbye to everyone before they disappear for another few years, just to get ready for the next tournament. However, when they arrive, they notice that there's a Tien and Chaozu waiting there, welcoming the Turtle School, with everyone being really confused why they're there. Tien and Chaozu then get down on their knees, explaining that they want to, learn under the Master Roshi, who not only taught the likes of Goku and Enma, but also Krillin and Yamcha, who are all incredibly strong, help them forget the evil ways which the Crane School has sort of put down on them. They don't want to be associated with that school too much anymore. Now, of course, the Turtle Hermit will accept them. These guys are incredibly strong, and also Krillin would never forget Master Roshi if he didn't. Krillin is the most accepting to them being there, and he goes over and welcomes them. After all, he's fought both of them in the tournament and almost beat Tien and destroyed Chaozu in a fight. So things for the next few hours go pretty easy for the group, until they are attacked by Tambourine and Drum. Tambourine is obviously heading towards Kame House anyway, and he just happened to run into Drum, who was looking for the Dragon Balls in that general area. Now, the reason that Tambourine is going to the Kame House is because the fact that a lot of the tournament participants for the last 2 years have been, Turtle students, so this was the best place for him to head. So I do believe that the two demon spawn don't actually stand a chance to do anything here. They would soon threaten the group, and not really knowing how much they're outmatched, would, go to fight everyone. However, thanks to the likes of Tien, Chaozu, Yamcha, Krillin, Goku and Enma all being there, they are soon destroyed and killed. Master Roshi does notice the demon seal mark on a piece of paper that Tambourine had, and he realises that Piccolo's back. He then explains everything he knows about Demon King Piccolo, and with all the group hearing this, they want to go stop him, with everyone believing that if they work together they can actually beat him. However, Roshi doesn't really like this idea, but he does think that Goku or Enma alone should be enough to take down the Demon King, but he wants to seal him away again. Mostly because he doesn't want to put any of his students in harm's way, so knowing to seal him away is the best idea for him. And this bit is super easy. The group spend a few hours trying to figure out where he is, and they soon find a peel-off airship, and they soon figure out that the Demon King Piccolo is with them. And the Turtle School then begins to blaze through all of this ship, just showing off how strong they are. Tien and Chaozu are surprised at how strong Enma and Goku are. After all, these two are incredibly strong, they're not even really struggling. And after a few moments, the group arrive in the Demon King's throne room, with the Demon King being shocked that Master Roshi's still here, and the two share a small bit of dialogue before the Turtle School gets impatient and tell him to drop his evil ways or prepare to be sealed away again. With Demon King Piccolo not really liking this idea, he gets up to fight, thinking that he should be able to take care of these kids. With the likes of Goku and Enma sort of getting ready to play rock, paper, scissors to, decide who gets to fight the old guy. However, it's not really what the rest of the group want to do. They explain that this guy is supposed to be incredibly strong, they need to work together. So they do, they all get ready to fight with one another. A Turtle School special, you could say. However, the Demon King can hardly keep up with the amount of people there is. likes of people like Krillin, who are as strong as Canon Goku, which is equal to Tien, means that these are just sort of an easy fight. They're just sort of holding him off until Master Roshi can use the Mathaba successfully, with them managing to buy enough time with a lot of ease. Even though Yamcha, Chaozu, Krillin and Tien were all struggling alone, Enma and Goku were covering their weaknesses quite easily, and Master Roshi manages to seal away the Demon King. And much like that, Master Roshi does still die after using this technique. However, this isn't too much of an issue. The group already have all 7 Dragon Balls just sort of sitting around, so using their brain they do wish back Master Roshi. And that's the end of the Demon King Piccolo arc. There was multiple ways I planned on ending this arc, but honestly, this one was just the one which thought would be the most interesting. I had an idea where Goku and Enma just destroy Demon King Piccolo. I had a few ideas, but I just thought this one would be the funnest. The Turtle School working together. And honestly, I do like the idea. So I'm actually ending this part here. There's a few reasons, but I'll just say it very briefly. I have artwork ready for an adult Tarble. You know, after all, the next probably part would either be the training with Kami, or it would be the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, and I do have artwork ready. The only issue is the person who I asked to make it for me doesn't want me to show it off at the moment. I don't actually know if they ever will want me to show it off, but I don't really know what to do then. After all, this artwork is super sick, and I just wish I could show it off and use it in the video. However, for now, I just have to sort of drop this what if for a little bit, unless, of course, I get really good at drawing soon. I'll try and keep everyone updated, because I love this what if, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with it. But for now, I can't really do anything with it. But I hope everyone understands, and I hope everyone has a great day or a good night. As like I said, this part is pretty boring. I tried to make it interesting, but I sort of knew coming into this what if the DB saga was going to be super boring. But I actually think I made some interesting fights out of it. I don't think I did too bad. I'm looking forward to getting into stuff like the Saiyan saga, where I can play with some fun character dynamics and things like that. But for now, I hope everyone enjoyed. Have a great day or a good night, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.